then. I think I was possibly learning via Udemy, and then it was Udemy and maybe Audacity. Then are very much relevant places to also learn. Um, okay. I really didn't have a pinpoint of what to say. I didn't want to repeat what I've possibly said before. Um, so I would go into reviewing works. As a saying some of the things that um as a front end, I would like to be more specific and instead of general because I know that there are different mentors for different tracks. So so I'll maybe say some things that you as a front end prospective front end engineer or front end engineer should be aware of in terms of when you are um trying to um build your skills and experience in that field. So if I'm to reiterate what I've said previously, because for the benefit of those that were not on the first time when I had a conversation, I would say it's good to learn. Um, it's good to learn. What's it called? It's good to learn one first because I know that the tech space there are a lot of things that is coming up that could inundate you with too many things. Oh, this is the time of Gen AI. This is the time of a lot of people are talking about cybersecurity. Should I learn machine learning? Should I also go into data engineering? Why it's not bad, right? Because but you as a starter, right? Some of you can be a starter here. Some of you can be using this opportunity to do a refresher or to do like I want to just uh um go back to the basics, which is not bad. Sometimes I do, right? It's good to like streamline yourself to know what you want to learn, right? If you are starting out. So I'll usually advise to try to start with one, right? Yeah, my experience has been a full stack engineer, but I never learned all the things I learned at once, right? Which is because at the time once you are growing up the career ladder, you'll notice that there are a lot to become a full stack engineer, right? It's a lot. Then you begin to see that in some organizations there are people that are specialists in some domains, right? There's a there's a particular level you would get to where even your full stack knowledge, you have to have somebody that is an expertise in that domain. For example, in my workplace, right, we are full stack engineers mostly. Um, but there can be issues that might arise where, for example, maybe in terms of deployment, that you actually need to get an expert in that cloud environment, right? When it has to do with some technologies or tools, right? So it is I think it's almost similar to other professions, right? Maybe it's same way while maybe the medical field there are different professionals to handle different things. A doctor, a medical doctor, someone that studied MBBS in the university, definitely might not know too much about dentistry or might not know too much about what's the one of eyes, right? So it is good to learn the immediate start beginning, right? The foundations, get up to speed with it, right? And also good to specialize, right? Because for example, you could be a full stack engineer, but there's one that you feel like you're more comfortable or confident in, right? So sometimes you hear terms like full stack engineer front end heavy, full stack engineer back end heavy, right? So I don't know if you've seen some sort of like job ads like that. So so when you are starting out, it's usually good to uh try and focus on one thing, right? Because I know it can be very challenging trying to okay, now it's AI that is making the money. Won't you go and learn AI? I think this particular track in this tech up that is currently also offering AI, and you you can, I don't know, there might be people that might be doing both of the tracks, which is okay, but sometimes when I believe when you are starting out, depending on your capacity too, it's usually good to like, okay, let me focus on this, then eventually if you feel comfortable and confident in it, then you can also like pick up other things. you want to pick up backend, you want to pick up DevOps, you want to pick up cybersecurity or AI engineering or data engineering, whatsoever. So so that about that. So it's good to streamline yourself at the beginning, right? So that you can get much. Because to be honest, what you are taking in the course of front end development, there's much more deeper things, which I want to maybe talk about briefly. Because I was reviewing some people's work today, I mean yesterday, from the links Joy sent to me. So I would explain that. I'll say some things about that. Right. So also, I think I reiterated how to learn, which I can also repeat. Uh, Learning practically, proactively. It's good to. I know is you learn by doing basically, right? So every domain there is this, is good to be theoretically sound, which is like software engineering theoretically sound. If somebody is mentioning some technologies and tools, you should be able to know them. You should be able to know what it is to be what is HTTP protocols or security, or when someone is talking about handling what's it called, storage, local storage, sessions or cookies. You should be able to know that, even though you've not used that or you've not worked with that, right? So uh once you're learning that, also practically what makes you a front end engineer is ability to like build user interfaces into actual products, right? Actual representation. So uh i- the best way to learn is also practical. So this course has I believe has and hated many of you to like be practical hands-on as against maybe watching tutorials. Watching tutorials is good, right? You learn from it, but also know that the person you are learning from also learned in one way or the other. So most likely the best way to learn or get your own foot in to be able to be confident, okay, I can do this, is when you've done some things, right? You've developed things for yourself, right? Have a Figma design, then translate it into codes, make it responsive, and also like see if it's actually pixel perfect to what was designed. As against, okay, you're watching a YouTube tutorial because somebody that you're watching from, you can feel like you're okay, you're good at what the person is doing because you're coding along, but it's not good enough, which is good. I'm not against it. You learn from it, but outside that, it's also not good to just pick up a challenge for yourself and do something for yourself. Like, okay, I confidently built this set of dashboard, right, from ground up, right? That's something that if you encounter any challenge in that space, in that, oh, I've done something like this before, right? So that about that. So that's some of the things I reiterated then. So I might not be able to remember all of them, but so let me go because I know this call is really short, and I want to have like a session for Q&A. So I would also like make mention of some of the things that I don't know where you are in the course. I feel like possibly you might be rounding up. Uh, some of the things that you need to be aware of as a front end developer that not just basically writing the JavaScript. Yeah, you write the JavaScript, you write the CSS, you write the HTML, you write the React. I don't know if you're gone deep into the platform specific. I mean frameworks or libraries aspects. If you've gone into that also, that's also good. Obviously, in today's environment, in today's technology, nobody uses HTML, CSS. Back then, maybe 5, 10 years ago, there it was possibly HTML, CSS, jQuery, uh PHP, vanilla PHP, right? Server side. So nowadays it's single page application. So we are thinking of knowing how to build applications with React, Vue, Angular, Svelte, there's another one called I'm trying to remember that. So all those single page application libraries are what is being used today. And to be honest, one has to just pick one, right? Which is the most widely used, right? You can go online, check the survey, and see, oh, which is most widely used in today's environment For me, based on my research, it's either it's React slash Next.js or Vue.js compared to other ones. I think Svelte is kind of picking up gradually. Uh, but those are the popular ones that people use in today's world, right? So having to own uh your expertise in that technology is very, very important because it will allow you to be job ready, so to speak, or job employable, right? You can't just get a job via just saying I know HTML and CSS and JavaScript and build one to-do list application. Not to talk bad, but I think you start from there, but that's not being job ready in today's world, right? You could boast of that maybe like 6, 7 years ago or 8 years ago, but now you have to like no React, if not Next.js, if not TypeScript. I know you might most likely be learning using with JavaScript, obviously, but TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, right? It's more robust compared to JavaScript, right? So those are the things that you should be aware. I'm sure that some based on research you should be aware of, right? Because I also mentioned in that call that it's good to learn with a goal in mind, right? Say for example, after this boot camp, you want to be able to land an internship like in the next 6 months, and you need to be able to progressively know, okay, I need to what are the things that are required in today's to be employed as an intern in maybe in any organization in Nigeria, right? You do your research, ask some people that have interned in some places, right? You progressively track your learning and your okay, have I known how to do this, right? So you progressively know how you pivot yourself or streamline yourself to make sure you achieve that goal, right? So it's not that okay, you finish this boot camp is equals to getting a job or getting an internship. I don't think so, right? You need to be able to check what the job market is saying in maybe as a junior developer, as a junior front end. Am I sure that based on what I know, I'm going to be employable? Do I have a portfolio yet? Even though you've not built something that people are using in the real world, right? You actually need a portfolio. I think I talked about that too. You actually need a portfolio, just like what you guys are doing, like, but much more. It's not okay, right? Because some of the works I've seen, some are doing like personal, is that cannot be a portfolio, right? Maybe that will be a section for another day, right? It's not enough because it's a very competitive space. A portfolio could be building something like um you could build an inventory management dashboard, for example, or an e-commerce site, right? I know that e-commerce site is very, very popular. A lot of people like to do that one. So those are things like you can get your hands on and feel like, okay, you're comfortable, show this as a portfolio, or you see somebody's design on Binance or uh Dribble, and you'll be like, okay, I need I want to get my hands dirty and develop this thing. Let me see if I can be able to develop this uh this this uh this design, right? Because front end developers must be friendly. You must be at home with designers because you're working with them, right? You're working with designers. You're also working with back end engineers, and also working with QA engineers too, and sometimes product managers. But mostly your riff or your where you have much conversations is with the designers, yeah, because obviously you have seen memes online of how designers are frustrated with what, or developers are frustrated with what designers designs, as to also designers not happy with how front end developers translate their designs. So you understand. So you must be at home, very much at home with having to make sure that you know how to translate designs, right? Now that would come as you grow because uh it's very important, right? Not just knowing how to add images, how to add tags into HTML, how to style something, use a selector, use the attributes, use whatever it is, right? Is majorly how to make sure that you are able to work, translate the design as a front end developer. Now, I want to be more specific. I think last meeting I was too generic, so I want to be more specific. So you need to be ensure that what you're designing is pixel is what you're translating to code is actually pixel perfect to what the designers did, right? So that's like one of the greatest plus for a designer in the product environment. Now, if he's in the engineering space, which I'll possibly mention, right? Or as a when I say engineering space, let me put it like this. Um certain certain attributes or certain qualities that you as a front-end developer you might not know yet, uh you need to be cognizant of is like, aside developing pixel perfect, you want to make sure that what you are developing as a site production ready, right? When I mean production ready, something that can be used by users, as is performance efficient. What do I mean? Like, if you go to a website, you want to make sure that it loads. For example, let me pick a business site, maybe like Jumia, right? If you check Jumia on GT Metrics is like a performance speed insights website that checks benchmarks a site. So if you go to like GT Metrics, put Jumia.com to know what's like the rating, what's the first FCP when it hits first content pin, like once the page loads, what's the seconds? You need to be ensure that that's what I mean by performance. So, for example, when you are developing a front end website, you ensure that some of the files you're using are minimized as much as possible. That's when technologies like React, you use um, bundles, like something that bundles your JavaScript into a smaller asset, because the web browser should be able to load them as fast as possible. So a good GT metrics at FCP at most, you are hitting like the first FCP seconds should be like in 0.5. Do you understand? So so for example, maybe you take your site now, you want to like deploy it to Google Vessel. I know you might use Vessel now, you might use GitHub pages, and you notice is not fast, right? Those are the things that you might not be taught currently now, right? In script, I'm not sure yet, but these are ethics that a front end engineer should all be aware of. So you ensure that what you are building is much in terms of images. You don't want to be using large images, maybe JPEG. Sometimes when you're using in some aspect like icons, having to use SVGs because they're scalable, right? In terms of different breakpoints, right? Maybe the iPad screen, the desktop screen, the mobile screen. You want to make sure that those images don't look somehow when it comes to mobile, right? So, and also you want to make sure that those images are not too large when they are deployed, right? So, oftentimes, if you are developing with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, you might not be able to control that, because you might have to have a package that does the bundling for you, right? Which would minimize all those files to be deployed. For example, you want to a React app, um, there are tools, there are technologies. I'm not sure. I don't want to go deep into React because I'm not sure if you guys are learning React yet. So there are tools that will help you minimize your JavaScript, your HTML, CSS bundle them together. But you should also ensure, for example, in some aspects, it's good to use PNG, right? You need to research on that. It's good to use PNG as against JPEG, right? In some aspects, it's used to use SVG. And in some aspects in a React application, to be more efficient, you export your images as a component, right? To be more efficient. So those are the things that, for example, page optimization, um, performance optimization, the user experience. When you are developing a website as a front end developer, you don't just develop first for the desktop, you develop mobile first, right? So you don't as you are developing, you're not checking the browser if it fits, or is it fine. You have to think, because survey shows that almost like 70% of people visit website with their mobile phones. Not everybody mobile phones, everybody is using they are using smartphones these days. So nobody will be mostly will be checking websites with their phones, right? So You don't want to be checking, benchmarking your website, how good it is, how user friendly it is, just by checking it on the desktop. You want to be ensure that. So that's when you see like the web browser, what's it called now? The web browser design design mode, the responsive mode, right? You can use that. I think for for people that use what's it called, Intel, use Command Shift I. I'm sure you're aware of that. So once you're developing, ensure that is mobile first, right? So um how do you make it mobile first at the beginning? So it all determines what technologies or tools you are using, right? There are libraries that makes life easy. So you don't have to be writing CSS media queries. I don't know if you are writing that, right? But gone are those days, we do write it, media queries. You are having to write media queries for different breakpoints. Breakpoints means different devices, different screen width, right? But nowadays you can use responsive front end libraries like that are easy to use, like plug in and play, right? You define the style just like Bootstrap. Bootstrap is very much, I feel, is the oldest. There are other ones. If you're now using platform specific like React or Vue, there's Semantic, there's React Bootstrap, there is Andy, there is Material UI. There are a lot of them now. There's one that is currently running, which is Shatien. So there are a lot of toolbox to ensure that what you are developing, right, is responsive, like from your divs to your uh to your containers to your pages, ensuring that everything is responsive mobile first, right? So that was what I would say. We are 30 minutes gone. uh Also cross browser compatibility, right? Ensuring there are times when I don't know now because those tools and technologies does the heavy lifting, right? There are times then when people do write with HTML and JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, you usually have some things working in Chrome that doesn't working in Internet Explorer, right? So oftentimes you have to make sure that what you are doing is cross-platform, cross-browser compatible, right? So in today's technologies, if you are using React, if you are using Vue.js, you are using CVL skills, all those things, you don't really need to be cognizant of it because they do it for you under the hood, right? They ensure that whatever you're whatever you are developing on top of them is browser compatible, right, across different browser. Before that, there's a tool then called Modernizer that we usually use. So so other things I would also say is like security, right? I don't want to sound too advanced, but these are things that makes you a well-rounded front-end developer. I'm just trying to ep it up a little bit, just aside just developing something that, oh, you saw, you had images, you had text, you could style them, you could center them. That's not just what makes a front-end developer, right? In the industry standard, these are things that I'm mentioning. Security aware, security performance application. It's a secure a, a front-end developer should be able to ensure that your application is secure on the front end. So it's not just a back end person that ensures this application is also secure. A front-end person to also ensure like you're you are using secure share HTTPS when necessary when you are deploying. You understand? You are also, there's what they call, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called cross-site scripting exercise. It's JavaScript scripting that does there are things you should ensure to avoid it, right? Maybe input validation. You understand? So there are certain things that a front end engineer should also be aware on the front end to ensure that when, because like I said, you're working with both front end and both designers and both back end engineers. So once you are ready now, you've pleased the designers, you also need to please the back end engineers as it were. So you're like interfacing between two people, which is like a lot of work, right? because the backend engineer sometimes doesn't even care about what the front end is doing. Their own is just to supply endpoints, supply APIs to what the front end is. But you understand, oftentimes the front end engineer is always like, oh, the back end engineer is messing up his work, right? So those are things that you should be aware of. Um, Also, SEO, like search engine optimized site. So what do I mean, right? For example, I don't know if many of you have heard of that term. SEOs is meant search engine optimization, right? Is, for example, you want to search a business on Google, on a search engine like Google or Bing. You Google brings that search based on certain keywords you put, right? You could do, okay, I want to iPhone 16. If you, I don't know, if you maybe you put it in Google iPhone 16 uh uh vendor, right? I don't know if Jumia will pop up, but some of all those things are keywords, right? Whatever company ranks the first, right? They are much optimized in terms of keywords aside uh other other websites or companies, right? Websites also equal companies, right? Like Amazon too. So for now, like if where I am, right, if I said something, it's Amazon that ranks, right? Right. If you said some things also, it might be Amazon that ranks. Right. So those are search engine optimization. Is more, is not just left for digital marketers to feature out, because that's one of the things that digital marketers also do, right? But also there are also things that a front-end developer should ensure that a site is search engine optimized, because in SEO it's a broad topic, right? There are several nuances that ensure that your site is search engine optimized, right? In fact, there are people that they call them SEO specialists or SEO experts that do how you so a lot of factors that makes a site ranks maybe in the top five, right? So I won't mention that. I can't mention that here on this call because that's not the important part. But as a front end developer, I think that you ensure that your site is SEO optimized. Like for example, using meta tags. So I'm sure you must have heard of meta tags. Meta tags, maybe your description, adding description where necessary. For example, when you want to tag an image, right, you have an alt text to be able to describe what that image is about. That also like gives it optimize is a way of optimizing that site if you are not aware. So description meta tags ensure the site is optimized. Actually, also the structure, right? So these are things that I would say I don't want to go too much advanced and say okay maybe testing because that will look much because but actually there's what they call testing too. So that is not the testing on the browser where you open your browser and check what you've done, but this is like a testing in terms of unit tests. Now I'm sure you people are already learning how to use JavaScript, right? If you're not using this functionality wise, consuming APIs, you want to make sure that what you are doing functionality wise is functioning as against what ensuring before you deploy them, right? So there are things that a front-end developer should also know in terms of testing, integration testing, unit testing. There's another one called usability testing, end-to-end testing, like that. I won't go deep into it because I know that it's above. I don't know, it might be above this course, but those are things you should put in mind that all makes you a well-rounded engineer, front-end engineer, because you're interfacing with a product designer, you're interfacing with a product manager who doesn't care about the code you're writing, but just want to make sure that what a user, what you are developing in meeting the user's need. You're also interfacing with the backend engineer who is uh developing the server side logic to ensure that what you are building it meets a business need, right? And also you're also interfacing with quality assurance engineers. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they call them QA, right? They will ensure like so subject like testing, right? You should also be aware of them because a QA person, the way you will test your front end work is different from they have these special tools that they use to test. You should also be aware of how you can test it before you hand over to the QA engineer to test what you've done. So that about that. So I'm not. I try to make sure that I'm not talking about comparing technologies, which one is better, front end, I mean, React versus Vue, whichever one is comfortable for you is fine. You understand? So it's just good that you put this in mind. Once you are, while I would say that this can be like a requirement, even in today's environment, to be like a junior dev, right? So don't wait till you are employed as a junior developer or as whatever level engineer you before you know these things, right? So ensure that even outside the scope of this learning, right, you can research about these topics, research about these things, and make sure that you are grounded in them before heading over to the market. And uh believe you me, it's these are things that you will be interfacing with. In fact, as an engineer, there are not things that is debatable, right? In terms of ensuring that you know these things, right? Is you left up because once you are in a company is an organization that is set up both to meet a customer's need and to make money. That's the thing. So you working under a department in engineering, right, is um is to meet a business need and to solve a problem, right? So if you are not taking cognizance of this, right, yes, you develop beautiful interfaces. Those are the work description or part of the work description at front end. But to what essence are you doing those things? That's where being abstracting a way of being a developer to being an engineer. Okay, this is I'm engineering a product to meet a business need. So let me just stop here and let me answer questions and review some of people's works that I've seen. Then I can call it a day.
Thank you so very much, sir. That was really a lot. I was taking down some things. I'm sure we were all jotting down some things too, because I'm not the front end developer that will use it at the end of the day. All right. So, does anyone have any question so we can take them before it takes the review? If you have any question, you can just put it in the chat box. So I will just count to five in my mind.
General question. It might not be based on what I've said. It could be just
Yeah. Okay.
general questions.
All right. So, okay, Ugochukwu. Okay, I'll just Ugochukwu. Yes, your hand is raised. You can unmute your mic and speak. Yeah, Ugochukwu, you can go ahead. Mm. All right, Leonard. I don't know. Leonard, I think Ugochukwu is probably having issues with his mic or something. So, Leonard, do you mind? Your hand is raised. Do you mind asking your question
Can you
first?
hear me?
Okay. I think your voice is quite low, but you can speak up or move closer to your.
Okay,
Yeah, it's better now. It's much better. I can hear you.
it's all right. So thank you very much, sir, for your impactful lecture. I want to come in the area of mobile first. I have been trying to think about how we go about that because me, I also always do desktop first, then I use media query for my mobile. So how do we go about that to ensuring that whatever we are coding, more emphasis is laid on mobile? How can we do that? Are there measurements that we can use to be able to achieve that?
Okay. Good question. All right. Like I said, I don't know how far you guys have gone in the call, so I don't want to speak over the head of people. Um, but mobile first, right? There are technologies and tools libraries, let me put it like that, that ensure, like what you're saying, you develop media queries before you know it, right? You are writing too much code, right? To ensure that um whatever page or whatever designs you're translating is mobile friendly, right? Across different, I mean, it's user friendly across different devices, right? So there are libraries like Bootstrap. You can check them out, right? That those libraries have, for example, uh, they call them components, right? And if you want to define a container, right, as a div to maybe place some certain elements on them, right? You have like uh, in Bootstrap, they are what they call you have attributes that you can append to that container for different devices, right? Bootstrap also has its container components, right? But if you want to define, okay, this should be take just six, like the browser is 12, right? This is just take like six, half of the browser width, instead of you writing media queries for different media, I mean, different screen devices. Bootstrap just gives you an attribute or a style that you can have add to your HTML tag, or you can also use their components, right? To just, I'm just using an example of Bootstrap as a library, right? That ensures, okay, this text you are doing is also like this text, this image tag, this mention all the HTML elements, right? That can be responsive, right? In terms of where they are in a device, right? So you want to check out Bootstrap, you want to check out and design and the you want to check out material UI, but I'm not sure if material UI supports just vanilla HTML, CSS. It should, but those are things. Tailwind CSS also. I don't know if you've heard of Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS also like gives you classes of styles that you can add to your HTML elements that you can define, or different things you want to do that can help you kind of arrange what a user will see across different sizes, right? So defining a container is like, okay, for a desktop you should take six, for a phone you should take three, or for a phone you should take 12. So principles apart from even these libraries, right? Like there is the CSS Flexbox. I don't know if you've heard of that, or you've learned about that. CSS Flexbox also has things that once you define them, right? Just check about CSS Flexbox. You can also, I think these resources like W3 schools should be at your beck and call, right? You can easily search them. CSS Flexbox also does the magic to a point, right? In terms of a layout, right? Layout, arranging things instead of basically writing media queries for each everything. Sure, you understand. So Bootstrap, check out CSS Flexbox, check out these libraries that ensure responsive design. Sure, you understand. So it's not like you divide. I'm not saying you develop for mobile and you not think of the desktop. It goes hand in hand, right? But you should be mobile first, because why? That's what they say in tech. Mobile first development, meaning that you are ensuring that whatever you're catering for covers for all devices, right? I just know, I'm not sure if you are clear about what I just explained. So those are the things, that's the way you go about it.
All right, thank you very much.
Nice. I think one person's hand is also raised. I'm not sure, Leonard or someone.
Leonard, I think you can go ahead. Let's take your question. You can, I think you want to unmute your mic, right? Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
So we cannot hear you. The voice is very, very faint.
Can you hear me now?
It's still very faint.
Can you
To your phone or your device.
can you hear me now?
Okay,
Yes, correct.
Yes.
better. First of all, I want to appreciate every one of you, Power and then Ayomitide. Thank you for the wonderful lecture, and also I want to appreciate. Say sorry for coming late. First of all, I want to ask because we are sent um an email containing um a code attached to our name in order for us to sign attendance. I came late, so I don't know whether something has been said about that in order that I may not miss attendance. That's first. Maybe where the attendance um, link is. I haven't seen that. I've searched in the comment box. I haven't seen that. Okay, that's first. Then secondly, please, is there any other technology we can use for front end development aside JavaScript, React? Is there any other front end technology, another language like Python, Java, and then PHP and all no, we can use for front end? And if there is, which among them, aside JavaScript, is good to learn alongside with JavaScript? And then as well for back end, that's people that are much in use, I don't know whether you got my question.
Yes, I got it.
Okay,
I
okay.
think the first question might be directed to Joy. The second one, um, what technologies are available for front end? It's good to know that a web browser runs. Uh, this is like let me explain how a web browser interprets web pages. So a web page is having both HTML, which is the structure, both CSS, which is the style, and JavaScript, which is the interactivity. So once you go on a website, right, that's what, once you hit that URL, that's what is saved as an asset or resource to the user as a browser. So saying that you want to roll out JavaScript is like saying you don't want to write web, right? Because that's what it runs on. While I feel like there are technologies that uh, help you to do the front end right from the back end, still runs with JavaScript. What do I mean? For example, there is vanilla PHP where legacy then we usually write, even though the front end we are serving our web pages right from the back end, right? More or less like what Next.js does. So if a PHP file, right, you are having to write HTML, you are also having to write JavaScript for the interactivity. You understand? So uh whatever frameworks are there, Django, Flask, right? You can spin up a Django application and it's just front end, right? What you basically just do is use the template engine for PHP. You just use the PHP HTML tag template to serve your front end pages, right? The same applies for Django, right? They can be there is this, I don't know if people know about Flutter Web, that does queue building, web front end uh on the browser, um using Dart, which is what Flutter is built with. Flutter is a mobile framework for developing mobile applications. While people use it, they write that feeling like they are not writing JavaScript, but apparently the browser, what that is still doing, or whatever Flutter is doing under the hood, is still translating these things to JavaScript, right? So it's I won't say you can't run away from JavaScript. If you want to run away from JavaScript, maybe pick mobile. I'm not on with people using Flutter Web because it's not as good as you writing it with, because it's still going to compile to JavaScript because the browser understands JavaScript. Now in the industry standard, people use TypeScript to write because it's more robust compared to JavaScript. Guess what? TypeScript is still being transpiled to JavaScript for the browser to understand. So you can't necessarily rule out JavaScript all in one, right? Because that is what the browser understands. Um, there might be other technologies. I know there's the one for C Sharp that does, but it still uses JavaScript under the hood. So you mentioned about the second question you mentioned is if is can you rephrase that last question you said?
Okay. The last question is, I think you've cleared that of front end, that of back end. What other technologies can be used that are equally good for back end?
Apart from
You know,
JavaScript.
apart from JavaScript, we have a TypeScript, though it's built on a JavaScript. We have a Java, we have a Python with Django, and then we have C Sharp. So among them and then others, which among them, is also ranking high as that of a JavaScript for back end.
Okay. Okay, you said ranking I. So let me just follow what you said. While I would not be rigid to say I don't want to use personal sentiment, or I need to explain sorry, I had a message. So I need to explain. I don't want to use personal sentiment. There are different, like you said, JavaScript for backend. There are different technologies that can handle backend aside JavaScript. You mentioned Java. You mentioned Java. There is JSP. There is Spring Boot. You also mentioned Python, Django, or Flask, or C Sharp.net, right? They are these are technologies that are okay. They are robust to build backend applications with them, right? There's no issue, right? But in the industry, it can change in different domains, right? Maybe for me, I would say maybe popular is still JavaScript, Node.js, Next.js, Express, all of those things. Then maybe we'll be seeing maybe Python. For example, there's the Django, Flask. I think Django is more popular and widely used. Maybe companies I know that use Django, carry wise for backend. I know that they use Django. Um, so the organization determines for fintech organization, financial services like InterSwitch or maybe Paystack or Flutterwave. What they mostly use is maybe Spring Boot, Java, .NET, because they're building enterprise. Now, there is comparison between these languages in terms of where they apply to. You understand? They some have more advantage over the other in some places. While financial services would want to pick Spring Boot or .NET as a technology for backend compared to other ones, is because the mechanism, all the toolbox that Spring Boot brings in terms of security mechanisms is higher than what JavaScript ecosystem has. So the different factors will determine which one would you want to go for. So in popularity, right, JavaScript, in maybe second to it could be Django, Python. Another one to it could be. It also determines on the location, right? Where you are. Also, those are things that you also be cognizant of. Where you are determines, maybe in the US, then maybe Ruby on Rails. I know in Nigeria, Ruby on Rails is not very that commonly used, right? So maybe you're talking about JavaScript. Maybe second to it might be Python. Third to it might be uh, .NET, C Sharp. Uh, the list goes on and on. Could be Java, Spring Boot, uh, and there are many of them too in different languages, right? So I think that's that's how best I can answer it. So for you, if you feel like you're not comfortable with JavaScript, and you feel like, oh, you are comfortable with Python. Another thing that determines why a back end engineer picks a particular framework is maybe they don't like that language. Or you're comfortable with Python. Okay, why not? You can pick up Django or Flask. Django is more robust compared to Flask, but you can just pick up Django, right? But oftentimes I always tell people to avoid picking esoteric. uh, For example, you don't want to be special, you pick Ruby on Rails. And you learned Ruby on Rails, you mastered it, then you're now looking for jobs or gigs in Ruby on Rails you can't find. Because what's the demand of Ruby on Rails engineer in the location where you are? How is it mostly used? So there are certain factors you should look at when picking up a language, right? It's fine to feel like you're more comfortable with the language compared to another, right? That's totally fine. But to now say, I just want to pick a random one. There are other ones that are very not common that people don't know. There is Rust, there is Haskell, there's Phoenix. I'm sure you must know. Well, I don't know if you have heard of all this Phoenix, right? So all those tools are used to develop backend infrastructures, right? But if you pick them up, how question you ask yourself is, how do I want to be employed? Are there job opportunities in these technologies, right? Am I going to be able to land a job or a role with it? So that's it. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Oh, Richard and his race. So we'll just take Richard's question and then we'll just go on to review. When it's already 12. All right, so Richard, please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, can you hear me, sir? Hello,
Yeah,
can
can you hear
anyone
me?
hear me? Yes. So I'm sorry about the noise. Pardon the noise. I'm currently on the road. So sorry, the road. So first off, I joined the meeting from the start, and I would say, Mr. Ayomitide, yes, yes. Thank you so much for the session. It has been mind blowing. It answered a lot of questions on my mind regarding the differences between a front end developer and a front end engineer, because I've seen so many internship opportunities and so many things. They say, okay, well, this is a front end engineer, this is a front end developer. So you really nailed it on the head with with the unit testing, QA/QC, exploring cross browser compatibility, you know, using the use of mobile first development tools like Tailwind CSS, Bootstrap, Material UI, and Semantic UI. So thank you so much for that. So the question is, how how do we approach internships? For instance, and first, how do you approach internships? One. The second question is, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? What I mean by imposter syndrome is the feeling that, okay, you've not learned enough to be able to um cope well. For instance, I still need to learn more CSS. Oh, I'm not good with Tailwind. I don't think I can be. So these are the fears that plague some of us who are still learning and who are still developing. So the first question is, how do we approach internship opportunities first? As for some of us that have had some few projects that have had on a portfolio or something. And second, how do you approach this in process of not having the right skill to be able to fit into a particular position? Thank you.
Okay. Um, sorry, what's the first question again? Because I was asking to that.
So the first question is, how do we approach internship? Like, okay, how do you feel? At what stage do we get to as a developer that you feel, okay, you can apply for an internship position? One. And second is, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? The feeling of not having the right skill enough to be able to go for a particular internship role, be it remote, physical.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I think I kind of answered that question to the last call I had. Uh, so how do you approach internships? So well, I would say internships, as it were, is what it describes as an opportunity to work and learn, right? While that can be true in some instance and might not be true in another instance, depending on the organization it is, right? I kind of like fact that big organizations like Flutterwave, um, Moneypoint does graduate training several times. I don't know if it's yearly, because they want to train you, right? While in some other instance they might not want, they just want to. While in some other instance it might look like they want to take advantage of you because you are looking for a place to gain experience, and they might just use that as an opportunity to be churning out employing tasks for you that might be uh above you somewhat. So I would say, how do you search for internship? This is like a job searching question, which may not be able to cover in this call because I'll have to jump on another call in some few minutes. So I feel like there should be platforms. I have a way that I tell people that are starting out to approach internships, where to search for them, right? Uh, there are different approaches. Obviously, there is a conventional approach of seeing the job ad and applying, right? Then the question you ask is, okay, how much of those opportunities are there, and how how can I get them, right? So this also boils down to the question of, am I ready to be employed as an intern? Am I internship ready? You understand? For example, you can check out those that have done internships in some places, or internship of job ads of internships you can see, and look at, okay, measure yourself currently. Can I be able to get a job at this uh as an intern with my current skill level, with my experience, I mean with my experience with them? So that question uh would uh motivate or foster how you know when to apply for an internship position. Like I said in the beginning, you might finish this program and you're not internship ready. You still have to, maybe you discover you still need to like maybe build a portfolio for yourself, because I think whatever level right now, like I can tell you boldly that maybe internship 5 years ago was like, you don't know anything, come and learn, we'll teach you. But now internship is like, you must have known something at least to the basic level, or sometimes I even see 1 year experience for an intern.
Can we still hear him, or is it just me?
I can't hear him anymore.
I think it's network. It's
Okay,
network, something like that.
probably
I guess
network.
it's
You should
network. So
you should join the call very very soon. Just exercise patience a little bit. Let's just exercise a little bit of patience. That must happen is network. I just saw somebody ask for attendance. Yeah, that will be shared at the end of this session. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm dropping the attendance form on the chat box already. Well, uh, all right. Okay, he's trying. He says for some reason it was locked out, so we'll just wait. So I'm sending the attendance right away. So it will be open in just for just 5 minutes. No, should I send it? No, I will just wait. I'll send it after the class. After just exercise a little bit of patience. We're so sorry. Some technical issue on his part. He was logged out of his Google account, so that's why. So it should be here in like 5 minutes. But yes, for as many as would love to introduce themselves, you can like to just drop, yeah, you can just drop a message in the chat box, and you can also let us know how far or how well or how you've been enjoying this mentoring session, or what you've learned. You can also give a feedback on what you would love to see in future mentoring sessions. What are the topics you feel we should treat, or you would want us to treat, or topics that you are really not having enough clarity. So when the next speaker would be coming, yeah, it would be able to really touch on those things. So and yes, I really don't know if a lot of us have been like during the last during the last meeting we had with Mr. Ayo, he really made mention of us having good use of LinkedIn. So I really don't know how many of us have really put efforts into having that done. If you've not, I feel like we can all drop our LinkedIn URL here and just send connection requests to one another. I feel like that's one way to for everyone to connect. So aside that, yeah, outside that, yeah, we can just introduce you. Everyone can introduce yourself. Yeah, you tell us what you are up to, where you are in your learning. And I've been so lenient on the deadline, learning deadlines, right? Because the people were like work and all of that. So I've really given space. Yeah, you can connect on LinkedIn. So just drop your LinkedIn URL. Let's follow you. Right. Yeah. Obasi Kechiku has dropped is. So please send him a connection request. I think I'll send him a connection request first. So yeah, I mean it's a really good thing to network with people, right? Um, so, um, all right, yeah. So, Control C. So I'm actually waiting. Just two people have sent in their connection, their LinkedIn URL. So yes, you could also let us know the challenges you're facing while learning on Scrimba, or where you are at, and or you could also share the learning process. Um, Someone is trying to join the call. Okay. All right. So it's back. Yeah, yeah. So those two people want to connect on LinkedIn. It is well. So many people are scared of LinkedIn. Don't worry, plus me. But oh wow. But LinkedIn is a very, very good space. Let me see. I've not sent anybody a request. I'm so sorry. I'll do that now. Interesting. Uh, I see. Now many people are sending in there. Please oh, connect with one another. Let me know if you're the only one that's connected. All right. Okay, it's back now. So yeah, you can still continue sharing your LinkedIn URL. So everybody can connect. So yes, sir, you can go ahead.
What was this? Where did I stop? Is he on? Is he still on the call? Apologies. I don't know. For some reason, I was signed out of my Google account.
Yes, I'm on the call, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, so I said there might be.
So you were talking about we're talking about asking yourself questions if you are that there are some internships that are like um
Yeah. Okay, I was saying there are some internships that I like that I said okay back then it would be like okay you don't know anything come and learn, but now you see some internship that require you like in today's market like you get experience uh or 6 months with a particular, so you need to like be able to arrange yourself in that manner to ensure that you are um you're ready to be, or you are internship ready, right? Because they require that you must have built certain things. While I would say don't wait for, there are other people that have seen that their first job was in an internship. How did they do it? For example, I know a friend that is first, I told him to start with volunteering. He had learned all the things he needed to learn. We just will answer to the second question, which is how do you overcome imposter syndrome as a beginner, knowing how to deal with it in terms of job hunting. So I told him, okay, I have a startup, a friend that is building a startup. Would you would you volunteer to work as a front end developer? I was like, okay, why not? It's not paid, right? At least it gave him a room to be able to see how to collaborate with other engineers, to collaborate with designers, to work somewhat to build something that is relevant, right? After like 4 to 5 months of building, I mean, agile way, right? Sprint in and out, it was able to land an opportunity that was not internship at a fintech organization in Nigeria, right? Because that experience, he can add it to his resume because it's an experience, even though it wasn't paid, right? He also developed, aside from the fact that he has developed his front end skills, which React, JavaScript, TypeScript, uh, HTML, CSS, and all, he was able to learn because nowadays internships they want to see if, for example, somebody with 2 years experience can still be applying for an internship, which is wrong, right? So we are in a competition with some people that you that you're just showing that okay, maybe you have certificate of completion, um, certificate of completion from what's it called, Coursera or whatever, or this particular course is not enough, right? You must have tried to develop skills outside that, try to build a portfolio that can show an evidence of oh this person knows his craft, right? While also some people learn internships unconventional ways, which I cannot just talk about in this call because to be too long because I have to jump on the call by 12:30. So um that's an approach. The other approach is like code image searching, sharing your works. If you find it comfortable sharing your works on LinkedIn, on Twitter might not be a safe space, but uh LinkedIn and all of those things, you might never tell which recruiter might be looking at you. And some people land opportunities without being interviewed. Like, oh, I love what you did here. I can tell you, I'm not even saying here say I know some people that have landed opportunities. They're just sharing their works, both front end developers, product designers, and they'll be like, oh, we'd love you to join on the team. Maybe the person designed something that was, so that's like that. Uh the second question, how to overcome imposter syndrome, and the truth about it is there is not, and how do you know if you are ready, right? There's no amount of learning you want to learn now that I tell people you don't have to learn everything before you are job ready. That can sound like a paradox with what I'm saying. It's not, right? The more you grow in your career, the more you learn. So there's very little you can learn on yourself. The more you encounter challenges, the more you know that you are comfortable with, you are confident of your skills, right? If you feel you are so confident, for example, you can be someone that you jump from one and course, you finish this one, you take the one from there's a boot camp by um old school, or that long one, ALX of 12 months, or go and jump on another one. It doesn't necessarily tell how well you are in terms of capacity. The more your experience will show in how much problems you have been able to solve. So knowledge of what you know, I might be in this level, I still learn. There are some challenges I still face. I have to learn. It's an ever evolving learning curve, right? So there's imposter syndrome is something that you must be able to deal with it yourself personally to know that I don't know as much I should know, but I'm willing to learn, right? Don't be too. You don't have to feel. There's no point you can feel so confident that you know everything. That's the thing. That's the truth. You have to know that okay, there's still much to learn. I know some things, but there's still much to learn. You understand? So believe you me, there are other people that are facing it. It's not just you. It's not unique to you. You understand? So there's no amount of things you need to learn there's a level of things you need to learn as basics, but the knowledge of what you know is below what's it called now? It's you can't benchmark it until you start encountering solving problems like building products, building functionalities for businesses. Do you understand? Then you begin to encounter new challenges that would upgrade your confidence, upgrade your knowledge. You understand? So if you are going looking for an internship position, just make sure that, oh, what is listed on job description? Do I have it? Yes. If I do have it, why not go ahead of it? How do you overcome maybe anxiety with interviewing? Do mock interviews with people that are more experienced. Doing mock interviews will help you build confidence in yourself. You understand? So I think that's the way I'll best answer the question. Right? Yeah. I don't know if it's clear.
Um, well, where's the person that asked
Yes,
the question?
thank you. It's clear.
Okay, yeah, read
Can you
it.
hear me?
Okay.
So
Yes,
thank you so much for
I
the
can.
response. So it's clear, very much clear. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. All right, thank you very much. So, yeah, I know we planned to review some of our works, but unfortunately, time is fast spent, and we would have to come to the end of today's meeting. So, yes, it just means that Mr. Ayo definitely holds us. So he owes us another meeting where you would have to review our works for us. So I sincerely apologize for that. So we'll definitely review the works in another mentoring session. So, and I hope I'll do well to make sure that the date is nearer and not something very, very far. All right, all right, all right. Okay, yes, the attendance already. I've sent the link to the attendance link. The link to the attendance form is already on the group chat, so you can fill it. And Richard, your hand still raised. Okay, no. All right. So yes, we've come to the end. Yeah, Richard, your hand is raised.
Yes. So I'm sorry. This is from my own end. I think you were talking about the challenges, and I think you said we should put it on message box, but currently I can't type much. So for me, right, like I've been actually been following the classes. Well, my work schedule is so tight. But most times at night, okay, like this week now, I've been on leave, and all through I've been trying to cover up back to back. That's why I could even join this meeting. Even on leave, I'm still on the road. So that's why I can still join because yeah, so those are the challenges. My work schedule is so tight. But most times night, but to be honest, I'm not really far much along course because of my work schedule. But I always do follow through. Like currently right now, I'm still when I get home, I'll turn on my laptop and continue from where I stopped. So that's just it.
All right. All right, that's fine. I feel like because of people like you, this is why I did not really put much emphasis on the learning deadlines, for which I will soon start next week. But I'll make sure it's very flexible and it's not too tight for everybody to follow.
Yes,
Um.
everyone. I have to jump on another call.
All right.
All right.
All right. Yes. So please let's say
About
thank
the
you.
review of uh of the works, I'll definitely look at creating a time to do it because I was actually reviewing it yesterday because of the constraint of time. It just
Uh,
yeah.
Thank you
all
very much,
right.
sir.
So can we also okay? I don't know if he has gone, but yes, let's tell him
Thank you
a
for your
very,
time,
very
sir.
big thank you because I mean, some people pay a large amount of money to get a mentor them actually. So let's tell him thank you for your time, thank you for the insights, thank you very much, sir. We're very, very grateful. And to everyone who joined, thank you so much for joining. So yes, please do well to fill the form. I'll be closing the form in like 5 minutes. And yes, I don't expect more than 36 responses. So in case you shared it with your friend, mhm, of course, there's a way
Okay,
for
thank
us
you
to
so
even
much.
remove. Yeah,
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 thank
you're
you so
welcome.
much.
Leonard, the link.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
sir. Very
much.
grateful. Thanks for the privilege. God bless you,
So
sir.
Please, where is the link? Oh?
yeah, the link is on the group chat. Change. Oh,
I'm sorry, ma. I would like to
yeah.
ask, how long, please, do you have access to this screen bar website?
So usually it's 6 months, but some people are claiming that their own access is telling them 1 year rather. So if your access is telling you 1 year, enjoy it while it lasts. But normally it should be for 6 months.
Okay, so what happens if we don't finish the whole lessons before the 6 months expires?
Okay, you can apply for take up again. You can apply next year. And hopefully,
Are we
sure.
going to continue from where we stopped, or we're going to start out
Yeah,
afresh?
for you that you've gone
Have
for
an account.
for you that you've learned to a particular extent. I mean, when you be having access, you wouldn't need to start all over. You just have to start from where you stopped.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right.
But,
Who
but
else
ma,
is having
what if you are not taken in tech up again if you apply?
what?
I mean, if you come the second time and apply and you're not taken by Tech Up, or is there any 100% assurance that you must be taken?
No. There's no 100% assurance that you will be taken, but I don't know. You might just in your well, you are just when you're applying, just write things that will make us accept you. I feel if you do that, I mean, you will definitely be accepted. So, Richard,
Okay,
do you want
yeah, so when is it expiring? So I'll know how to speed up my learning.
it should expire December.
December, right? Okay,
Yes.
okay, December. Okay,
Okay,
thank
but
you.
then for those of you that are on this call, I can give you. But if I said don't worry, I will keep my bonus till the end of this track. But one thing you can do is once we're done with this particular track and you're still not done, even if you're done, but just not you're still not done, but you probably still want access to Scrimba, you can send me a DM. So you would, yeah, you can send me a DM.
Zero zero three
So I
three one
would.
eight one five oh nine 33181 509.
All right. So Fatolu Oroluwa and
No,
those other people that are complaining that the link is not opening on their end. I just tried it with another email and it just opened. Yeah. So for Bernard Simon, your ID was sent to you. So I'm going to end the call right now. I'm going to allow us. Yeah, I'm going to end the call right now. So thank you all for
no,
joining.
but
Thank you.
please, before you end the call, I am in the
Thank
Lena,
you.
group and I
Thank you
could
for
not see
the.
the link.
what's
Thank you,
that?
ma.
I'm outside the group. I could not see the link for attendance. Sorry.
The link is on the chat box here, not on the
Oh,
group chat.
I can't see that in the chat box. I was logged out by network. Okay, I've seen that. I've seen that. I've seen that. I've seen that. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to end the call and I'll be closing the form in like 2 minutes. So all that you have to do quick.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you
All
very
right. Thank you all
much,
for
Miss.
joining. We're very grateful. Have a nice day.
Thank you. God bless you.